Hey, and welcome back to Pokemon Blue. It's episode 12. We're taking on the Dark Cave in this episode. Before that, we're going to take on one of the more interesting trainers in the game. Interesting not because of what she is, but because of what she's using. She has a Pikachu and a Clefairy. It's like a trivia trainer, honestly. So as you know, if you're watching this, so I assume you know, Pikachu would become this franchise's mascot. You know, a cute little electric mouse with red cheeks. Shocks the hell out of everybody. Clefairy, on the other hand, was designed and supposed to be the mascot for the series, but failed to do so because Pikachu came along and was the breakout character. You know, people just liked Pikachu more than Clefairy, I guess. So that's neat. Not me, though. I like Clefairy more than Pikachu, even though Clefairy and Clefable kind of suck. They've got good movesets, but they just don't have the stats. Yep. So, oh, Rock Tunnel, not Dark Cave. I'm sorry. Got those two confused. And I was checking my lineup before we head into the Rock Tunnel, which is a dark cave. Of course, this is an annoying gimmick that always seems to show up in these games. Which, granted, it's a cave. Caves are dark. You know, the caves that don't require flash make less sense. In fact, they make no sense at all. But it is kind of annoying. It's just you need an HM and you need a Pokemon to know that HM. And I know, later on in the games, Flash would become a TM and not an HM. And a TM that you could buy for relatively cheap. Because Flash is the worst TM move. Because all it does is lowers the opponent's accuracy, but it has a miss chance. So we're fighting a Pokemaniac. These guys use rare or uncommon Pokemon. And everything they have is at least decently hard to find. Slowpoke here, for example, is a late game Pokemon. I don't know when the earliest you can catch one is, but it's also pretty uncommon from what I remember. Cubone, he also used, is a rare Pokemon, and everywhere you can find him. Still, Slowpoke becomes Slowbro, and Slowbro is really good. Like, really good, especially in Gen 1. See, they decide to represent its handicap by reducing its speed, like really gimping its speed, and then cranking its defenses, because the thing is so stupid that it takes it like a long time to realize it's even in pain, like, because its pain receptors work really slow, so it has a really lot of defenses, which means that its special is cranked, and since special in this game is both special attack and special defense, and Slowpoke A, learns Amnesia, which greatly increases special, B, has same type to Psychic type and Water type, and C, has that high defense. You know, he's really good. Especially that Psychic type, because, man. But I've never used one before, so I don't really know what it's like to use one. I know what it's like to face against them. I have done that before. And I imagine it's really boring to use them because they're good, and good Pokemon are really boring to use in a lot of cases. Like, I've already spoiled the Jolteons on my team, and guess what? Jolteon is very exceptional at being boring. Yeah, well, with that discussion out of the way, our cat has evolved into a much bigger cat. Ah, Critty, you've become a Persian. You're that much closer to to perfection. That much closer to being finished. You haven't quite achieved your final form yet, but you're getting closer. He only needs 2 more moves and he's done. Ah, look at it. My cat shoots bubbles at rock snakes all the time. Get at me. Hang on just a second. And we're back. Oh, with fall coming up in about a couple months, my allergies are going to get worse, but it's especially going to become a breathing problem. But let's not talk about allergies again. That was weird that one time I did it already. It's just so easy to talk about because I go through them for about 3 seasons out of the year, it seems. With summer being my reprieve and winter being my ultimate reprieve. Ah, Critty. I do love you, though. He's not going to be the best Pokemon on my team, but for what he is kind of fun to use. Or she. We don't know. I'd have to look at its stats. Or just trade it to Gen 2 real quick and see how it turned out. Because Gen 2's when that became a thing. You know, male and female became a thing. Ugh. What do you know about costume players? Well, I know that they're generally called cosplayers and not costume players, but you know, I think I'm gonna go off that word. I'm gonna steal it. I'm gonna start calling them costume players just to piss some people off. But seriously, you're a Pokemaniac and you call them costume players. Even though I know, the game was made in the 90s and translated to English in the 90s, and you know, cosplay was in its youth back then, if it was even around. I think it was around. I wouldn't know, because I was only in junior high at the time. So I wasn't big into that. In fact, I didn't really find out that cosplay was a thing until, like, the mid-2000s. But that's only because I really started to pay attention to this sort of thing then. Like, my awareness of fads and what goes on around fan bases and stuff is really primitive. Because I just don't care enough to pay attention to anything that I'm not adamantly into, you know? So I only really knew about cosplay as it was starting to pick up. You know, you hardcore cosplayers will know it is the time that the normies started to do it. And that's a time to feel bad about anything anybody's doing, is when the normies are starting to learn about it. Because then it starts to just go downhill, doesn't it? But here I am, acting all elitist and stuff. I'm a pretty big normie when it comes to certain things myself, so maybe I shouldn't be talking. Not Pokemon, though. I at least have a decent grasp of, Pokemon. Like shooting bubbles at rock snakes. Caves, man, I tell ya. They're just so boring. Especially Gen 1 caves. Like, the graphics just do not help Gen 1 caves at all. pretty much after Gen 1, they changed how caves were handled to where all mandatory caves were not that intrusive. They were really, really short, in fact, from what I remember. You know, I could be misremembering a couple things or forgetting something here or there, but the mandatory caves were generally shorter, and the optional caves were long and complicated, but, you know, there was a reward at the end, so it was kind of acceptable. In this game, the mandatory caves are not necessarily complex, just long and drawn out. And then the two optional caves are soul-crushing in this game. Like, absolutely soul-crushing. I go through them both. And I can't wait to commentate over those, because that's just going to be a laugh and a half. But maybe by then I'll have a list of things that I want to talk about through boring segments of Pokemon Blue. Especially since, you know, they're so soul-crushing. Oh, but look at me, managing to talk over all these fights. Eventually I do start to speed these up as well. I'm never sure what to speed up and what not to speed up, because, I mean, that wasn't really fun to watch. I just kind of powered my way through it with no trouble at all. Doe, you win. And he makes a terrible pun. What was I even talking about before I got distracted with that guy? Oh well, it doesn't matter. So hikers are probably the most boring of the trainer encounters in this entire game. I don't know what it is about Machop and Machoke and a bunch of rock Pokemon, but they're just the most boring. I don't know. Maybe it's because they're all gray? I don't know. Everything in this game is monocolored to one color, you know? But I will give the hikers this. They are jolly bearded fat men, and that's just like Proto-Santa right there. Makes it too bad that they don't use ice types, I suppose. It's the one thing they're missing for that transformation. But I mean, I do like them from a design standpoint. I mean, look at that guy. You can't be happier than that guy. Jolly, man, I tell ya. But here I go. Get anal about that, and Marowak is one level away from disobeying. Hooray. Hang on just a second. Okay, and I'm back. You know the drill, you know the drill. I pause, I clear my throat, because it's rude not to. Oh, cut the battle. Oh, please, oh. Just cut the battle. Oh no, I couldn't cut this one. He uses Graveler, and I don't know if we've run into this or not. Graveler. It's Geodude's evolution. He grows a pair of stumpy, stubby little feet and an extra set of arms. He's neat. We won't see his final evolution, like, at all, I don't think. Unless Bruno uses one in the Elite Four, but I don't think he does. I think Golem's, like, one of the only things that you don't fight against in this game. So, you know, hope you know how to get it. Yeah, so then I remembered I was playing a Pokemon game and can use repels and stop running into wild Pokemon. It's nice. You know, in Final Fantasy, if they have that feature, with the ability to avoid random encounters, you have to work your ass off for it. Not in Pokemon, though. In Pokemon, they sell it by the can. And so I sped it up because I wasn't going to sit through this rap fest. This is the sort of thing I truly will speed up. Till I slow it down, because Weed here levels up to level 29. Level 29 is an important level for Weepin' Bell because he gets an actual other attack at level 29. I can get rid of Rap. I no longer have to sit through Rap because now I have options. Acid is a move. It's a poison type move that does pretty okay damage for where we're at. It's really good, but it has a chance to lower defense, and it rose one giant question in me: why isn't there an acid type? You know, you have acid and you didn't have anything good to give it to, so you gave it to poison because it was the closest thing to making sense for a move like acid. And I'm not saying make a type for one move, but it seems so obvious. Why wouldn't you have an acid type at all? It's fun to think about. And you know, with acid's relationship to water, which do you think would be weak to the other? Because there'd be some sort of interaction. So speaking of this hypothetical acid type Pokemon, I wonder what the weaknesses and resistances would be, you know, involving that type. What would it be weak to? What would it resist? What would be weak to it, and what would resist it? Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, water's probably in there somewhere. I don't know what way or the other you'd represent that little interaction of two things. Chemical reactions, they're fun. But as for a move, Acid, it's not a good move. You know, ignoring the fact that it's poison type, and poison type is a terrible move, terrible type to be right now, especially in, you know, Gen 1. But just a terrible move. It's just too low a damage. I do agree with the lowering of defense, but too low damage, I say. It needs to have higher power. Because you're throwing acid at people, you know, that's a terrible thing to go through. Having acid thrown at you? Yeesh. Speaking of chemical reactions, oh. Acid, a move that should be better. A type that should exist. Wow. Now I'm just disappointed by the move Acid. You know, I was so happy that I finally got something, because now he has an alternate means of attack, but... Ah, Critty. You're my favorite cat. But no, I'd never actually used Persian before this playthrough. This was like the first time I'd used it. I really enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun to use, especially when the gimmick all comes together. Its gimmick being a really high speed, so a really high critical hit chance, as well as access to the move Slash. Now I wonder, I can't help but wonder, what is better for Persian? The high crit move Slash, to just couple with the fact that it gets a high crit chance at all, or Body Slam with a higher crit chance because it's being used on a Persian? I don't know. I don't know which move is actually better. I teach it Slash, because it has cat claws. And I just like critting with every hit. But I don't know which move is technically better. That might be one of those things that's open to debate, honestly. I wouldn't know. I'm not some great competitive player. Ugh. And just like that, cat eats bird, cat eats rats, and cat eats flower. That last one might sound weird, but I've seen cats do it in real life, so, I mean, it seems apt. Cat eats flower. I imagine they do it for a source of fiber. You know, clean out their tract. Make them healthier. What am I talking about? It's this cave. It's just so dreary and boring. There's nothing else to really talk about. All the fights are the same. All the graphics are the same. It's just lame, you know? Oh well, we're almost out of it. We've only got a couple more minutes to suffer through the cave. Man, listen to me. You know, I'm trying to get people to watch videos, and I'm talking about how boring it is. Yeah, who am I kidding? Nobody will ever watch. I'ma just be alone, talking to nobody. Because all we are in the end is dust in the wind. Oh, that's lame. What am I even on about anymore? I'm just losing my mind here because I'm tired and this cave and... these Pokémon. I think part of Gen 1's problem might be it's just so hyper packed with trainers. Like, since that's the point, they like put in way more trainers than they needed to. Like, there's trainers everywhere in Generation 1. And I'm trying to think about how... well, no, because later gens would be just as packed, I think. I don't know. Something for me to look at. You know, and I'm just getting ready to leave this cave, so you're getting punished for interrupting me, Zubat. Well, this is the end of the video, luckily enough, so I'll stop talking about how boring my videos are, and I'll see you next time. Have a good day. Bye.